Hey, what is going on? Welcome back to the channel. In this video, we're going to be taking a look at Avax. I do want to say that I'm not a financial advisor. You should do your own research before investing money into crypto. If you haven't seen the previous update, make sure to watch that before watching this one. It's going to be in the top right hand section of this video on your screen. Also, I have two donation links down below in the description. If you want to support Ukraine, you can do so by going over to the official websites and donating through them to the funds directly. The money does not go through me in any sort of way. So thank you all for the support, and let's get on with the video. So jumping into the AVAX technical analysis, obviously we have our Fibonacci retracement set up with the swing high and the swing low that I just marked. We ran into the 1.414, and we talked about this in multiple videos, so I'm not going to go over that once again. Like I said, check out the previous updates so that you have more context. So zooming into the symmetrical triangle that we have over here, we're actually losing the support of the pattern, and this is quite negative in my opinion, but we're dropping into the buy zone that I had for you. So anywhere from $17 all the way to $16, a great buying opportunity. The last time we hit this level, we saw a move of around about 83%. So if we see the same thing going into November, we could see a move all the way up to $31. Now, this is not guaranteed by any means, obviously, but we are potentially going to see a move to the upside going into November because that's what we did for the past 2 years. But keep in mind, the past 2 years in 2020, we were building towards a bull market, and in 2021, we were in a bull market. So this year, we could see a slower move and not as bullish and not as huge of a move, but nonetheless, we could see a move. The support below the buy zone here is at $14.50. That's pretty much the bottom that we printed on June 17th. So losing this low here would be very negative, and hopefully we're not going to do that. Of course, if Bitcoin starts losing $16,000, $17,000, altcoins can start dropping very quickly, and you want to be grabbing them at these low levels, right? If we can even manage to come back down to this lower buy zone that I have for you. And I've had this buy zone since last year's August when we retested, or last year's June, I should say, and July, because I gave you this exact same zone and I've had it on the charts for more than a year now. And I told you that $9.30-40, those are great buying opportunities. And as you can see, after that, we bounced and we went from there. So the same thing could happen here. Obviously, hopefully we don't lose these July lows from last year, because that would break the trend essentially, because on the grand scheme of things, you're printing a low here. You have a high, you're printing a higher high, you're printing a higher low. So from here, ideally, you want to go up and break above this high here, but you don't know if that's going to happen. So be ready for both outcomes at all times, but I'm pretty confident that we're not going to drop below these lows here in July. At the very least, or worst case scenario, I should say, is we just retest this buy zone briefly and then we start coming up. Because at this point, we've had all the bearish news thrown at us. The markets aren't reacting that much to negative events, to the CPI data. Yes, we did see a pullback, but it's nowhere near the levels that we saw in January and May, right? So these pullbacks weren't as bad. And anyway, for me, these pullbacks, I see them as an opportunity to dollar cost average into my positions, because in the next 2 years, those of you who dollar cost average, those of you who distribute their finances in a smart way, you're going to make a lot of money, right? You just have to be patient. And I'm hoping to make a lot of money as well with this, and not particularly with Avax. I'm not buying into this altcoin right now. A lot of FUD surrounding Ava Labs, and I just don't want to get involved with this coin right now. A lot of better alternatives, in my opinion. And if you want to know all about my trade alerts, feel free to join me on Patreon. It's going to be linked down below in the description. You get low cap gem calls, your technical analysis requests and video requests as well, podcasts on a weekly basis, market sentiment analysis, project highlights, all that stuff is going to be in the Patreon. So it's a great way to get more exclusive content and a great way to support the channel, obviously. So check it out. And we're pretty much done with the support levels as of now. One thing I do want to say is that if we start running into this pink trend line as resistance, right, and we keep hitting our head on it, you're definitely going to be coming back down either to this zone to $14.50, because if you're going to get rejected from the same resistance multiple times, chances are you're going to see a pullback. And this resistance is not only there because we have the pink trend line of the symmetrical triangle, we also have the 0.382 level of the Fibonacci retracement of the large fib that we have here. And that's at $19.12. So this would be a major resistance level for us to break, which I don't think we're going to do unless Bitcoin starts doing very well, or we have some bullish news for Avax, which I don't think those are coming in anytime soon. So moving into the daily RSI, in the last update, I did give you these trend lines. Well, actually, I've had them for a very long time on the charts, but in the last update, I told you that you could look for a retest of this red trend line. And if you wanted to swing trade, you could take some profits here and buy back in once you see a pullback. And as you can see, that is what happened. And if you did that, you would have had a nice swing trade opportunity. You could have made some money here. In case of a capitulation, I am targeting this blue trend line that has been a resistance for us for a very, very long time. So since August of last year, we have been rejected from this area multiple times. We had a fake out in March, but mainly we've been holding it as resistance. We broke through in June of this year, and we haven't seen a back test as of yet. So potentially this is going to come once we have possibly the last capitulation in September after the FOMC meeting. But yeah, this is something that we could see retested now. We could potentially see it retested in October, but I'm expecting us to start recovering in October and having a nice move into November. And from there, we potentially see another dip in December and January, and we start recovering into the spring and into 2024, starting with the Bitcoin halving. We could, start a new bull market then and there. But until spring, I don't think we're going to be super bullish, because the energy crisis is probably going to settle down and cool off and pretty much end in spring, because right now, moving into winter, Europe's having all the issues that you are probably aware of. We're not going to get into that right now. But yeah, like I said, spring 2023 is when I expect prices to start rallying and having nice moves to the upside. And at that point, we would have been out of the bear market by some time, and we're probably recovering into the bull market into 2024 is when I'm expecting the bull market to be in full mode, in full force. So let's move over to the Binance website. Jumping into the weekly chart on Binance, the RSI here gives us a nice little descending broadening wedge. As you can see, we have a couple of tests here of support of this descending trend line, and we have 2 touches off of this descending resistance trend line. So potentially you're expecting a bounce off of this trend line on the weekly chart if we see a massive capitulation, right? For us to get down here on the weekly, we would need to see a massive capitulation. For example, just like the one we saw here in November of last year. So if we see that dip, yes, we could retest this, but other than that, I'm not expecting another retest of this area. We could see another run in with this resistance, have a little pullback to the downside, and then break through it in November. That is also a possibility. If you're late with buying Avax at this point here, wait for it to pull back down and retest this trend line as support, and that would be a great entry point, because once you start breaking diagonal resistance trend lines, or I should say multi-month resistance trend lines, then typically you see a stronger move to the upside after you break it, and then you see the pullback. So here you would take some profits, and here you would buy back in. Obviously sounds a lot easier when I'm saying it, but you just have to be managing your risks, okay? And also, I do want to point out this resistance level over here. So I'm just going to pull up the price tag for that. So that's the index of 40. And as you can see, we ran into this level as support. Actually, I'm just going to make that a rectangular pattern here, just so it's easier for you to see it. As you can see, we did have a rejection from this level in July of 2021. We bounced to the upside. And right now, when we lost it in April of this year, we came back up, we retested this area as resistance, and so far we haven't attacked it once again. So I do think potentially once you start rallying back up, you could run into this level as resistance. So 40, 41, 42 on the index is a strong resistance level. Once you see that broken, I would imagine you would have broken through the white trend line as well, and you're going to see quite the move, potentially into November, like I said. Let's switch over to the price chart here, and let's switch over to the daily. Hold on a second. There we go. So we were in this channel up pattern for some time, for a couple of weeks here, since June into August, a couple of months actually. And we broke out of the channel and we're moving down. So I would expect a retest of this buy zone here, anywhere from $14 to $11.97. We dipped our toes into this area in June. So usually what happens is in these strong corrections, you bottom out, you start retracing to the upside, you have a little relief rally, which is expected, and then you start coming back down to where you came from. And at that point, you would create a double bottom pattern, and then you're recovering from there. So this is what would happen. Obviously, not losing this low would be great. You don't want to lose the low that you printed in July. Worst case scenario, you just back test it as support, and then you continue on from there. But these two levels, or this buy zone, I should say, is a great buying opportunity. And let me just throw on a fib retracement here with the targets to the downside. So we took this June as the low, and we took the August high. And as you can see, the first fib level here is in the buy zone, and the 1.272 at $10.84 is just slightly below the buy zone. So you could see yourself in this area here, and we're just getting rejected from the golden ratio, which is the 0.618 here. Came back below it, back tested as resistance, and now we're holding the 786 for now, which we have done here in July, and we have done that at the beginning of July once again, and once in June. So this is a strong support level for us at the moment, but I do think it's going to be lost if Bitcoin continues in this way, and especially after the FOMC meeting, we're definitely going to lose this level. So I would say $14, $14.5, great entry points for Avax. I don't want to be taking any more of your time. If I missed anything important on the charts, please let me know down below in the comment section. Feel free to follow me on Twitter. Feel free to join me on Patreon. I'm going to catch you in the next one. Goodbye and good night.